Hello all and welcome to your favourite day of the week, Flat Earth Friday. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a big shout out to my first patron. You know who you are. Flat Earth Friday is an established feature now, and I'd love to bring in more. If you'd like to be part of an exclusive club where you get a hatful of rewards and in turn help the progress of the channel, then please do take a look at the Patreon page. I'll leave a link in the description. Okay, so I was going to do a video today on a response to my Antarctic circumnavigation video that I recorded a couple of weeks back. But the response in question was like listening to a wet blanket talk for 10 minutes, so I thought better of it. Instead, I thought we'd have a poke at something that came out of the recent UK Flat Earth conference. It was held at the end of April in a 3-star chained hotel conference room that holds about 80 people. Many experts came in and gave talks, but I have to say the consensus was less flat earth and more non-globe stuff. It should have been called the UK Earth is Not a Globe conference. In fact, if you take a look at the organisers' website, fecore.org, you will actually fail to find the phrase flat earth anywhere at all on there. Almost as if they're ashamed to admit it in a professional capacity. A few of them even went on primetime mid-morning TV here in the UK. The host tried hard to stay serious, but they flirted with a mocking and belittling tone. It was splendid, and the appearance did more hurt to their cause than good. One of the experts from the conference was a man called Dave Marsh, and I stumbled across a link he shared on the fecore Facebook page. It was an article on a website called shortlist.com, and the article was entitled "An Exclusive Interview with the Flat Earther That Disproved Gravity." Yes. You heard that right. Now, first off, if he truly had disproved gravity, then he'd be more famous than Einstein overnight, and on every newspaper and TV show in the world, not squirreled away on some minor online publication. Secondly, he hasn't disproved gravity. So, let's take a look at this interview. Hi David, when did you first become a flat earther? I think it was around November 2015, and like a lot of people late at night, I'd just been researching, looking at different things mainly. I was looking at the moon landings. As I was looking deeper and deeper into the moon landings, I noticed a lot of recommended videos popping up related to flat Earth. I clicked on one. I think it was Eric Dubay's 200 proofs Earth is not a spinning ball. And after about the 9th proof, I was basically convinced, because the truth is undeniable. Really? It took 3 minutes of a crap video from a yoga instructor to convince you that the Earth is flat? The truth is indeed undeniable, but unfortunately what you've been watching and listening to is not the truth. If you'd already seen 200 proofs and been convinced by flat Earth theory, what inspired you to start doing your own research? I got the opportunity to go to Skegness, and I was looking across the beach and I could see the Norfolk coastline to the very tip. I asked a taxi driver about it and he told me the coastal town of Cromer was right on the tip at the very end. So I looked at how many miles it actually was from Skegness, and it was about 39 miles away. When I put it into the actual calculator, which calculates how much curvature there should be between Skegness and Cromer, it shouldn't have been visible at all, and yet it was clearly visible. When I refer to flat Earth, I'm not talking about a pizza floating in outer space. I'm referring to there being no measurable curvature over large bodies of water. So you're clearly admitting that you don't believe the Earth is actually flat. Besides, it's a massive leap of faith and ignorance to go from no measurable curvature over large bodies of water to the Earth is flat. Your point could mean that the Earth is a cube, or that it's a rhombic dodecahedron. Would it not be more scientific to find out why you're not detecting curvature over large bodies of water? For instance, there are parts of Cromer with high elevation. And how high up was the road you were viewing it from? Did you take any of that into account? What about the research you presented at the conference? What I did I started measuring the speed of the moon by setting up a camera in my back garden, and I used a compass app. I found out when the moon was over the Tropic of Cancer, over the equator, and over the Tropic of Capricorn. And I recorded the moon on these nights, and I basically recorded the actual speed of the moon. I just want to step in at this point. I don't think he realises that whatever results he got here would have been erroneous. Unless you are directly below the path of the moon and are measuring it as it passes along the meridian, you are not going to get an accurate speed. If you look into Kepler's laws of planetary motion, the moon is supposed to travel around the Earth in an elliptical orbit. What should happen is it will spend the first half of its cycle speeding up towards perigee, the point of orbit closest to Earth, and the second half of its cycle slowing down towards apogee, the point furthest from Earth. I caught the moon speeding up as it was going to perigee and from perigee. It should have actually been speeding up one way and slowing down another. So hang on, the moon is speeding up as it reaches its closest point to Earth and then speeds up again afterwards. So from your observations, you're basically saying the moon continues to speed up in its orbit, never slowing. Is that really what happens, Dave? Because if it is, the moon would be travelling so fast by now, we wouldn't be able to see it. In fact, it probably wouldn't even be in our solar system anymore. Excuse my ignorance, but what does this have to do with gravity? When I recorded the moon, I recorded it over a year and I pumped all of the numbers into a graph, and the actual graph, it came out and it looked like a heartbeat. It looked like an ECG reading. Everything around you is electric. We have electrical storms. Everything to do with the sky is electric. If you compare gravity versus electromagnetism, gravity has never been able to be measured. All you've done is create a theory to support the globe model, whereas electromagnetism can actually be seen. I wouldn't say I've disproven gravity, but what I've proved is that electromagnetism is the only true force in nature. When you look into flat Earth, the majority of research leads to electromagnetism. So because the erroneous graph you've produced on the moon in orbit looks like an ECG reading, you are contributing its entire movement to electromagnetism. I did a 10k last week and the graph of my running pace looked like a piece of spaghetti. Does that mean my cells are made of bolognese sauce? Electromagnetism is a force, yes, one of the 4 fundamental forces of nature along with gravity. If Dave had any idea how this electromagnetic force acted and the nature of its range, relative strength and force carrying particles, he'd realise that everything he just said here made less sense than an ostrich fart. But what about when I drop stuff? The reason why objects fall is not because gravity is pulling it to the centre of mass. It's simply because the object is more dense than the air around it. If you get a helium balloon and let it go, what happens? It goes up. If this is simply the case, Mr. Marsh, why does the moon not fall to Earth? It's denser than air, is it not? So why doesn't everyone know this? Is someone hiding the truth? I think it's a control system, basically. The globe is a control system. What they do with the Big Bang, you see, when you believe that you come from the Big Bang and you come from nothing, what it does is it makes you, as a person, as a species, feel insignificant because you've come from nothing and you're a speck of sand in the vast universe. Well, we are. And I don't take any discomfort from that. He clearly does. And this is the problem for most flat earthers, particularly religious ones. They think they can't be that insignificant. They just can't. But they are. The universe doesn't care what happens to you. You've got places in the Arctic and Antarctica where you're not allowed to travel to. I know people say you can get expeditions, but you only go to 70 degrees probably. Take a few pictures with a couple of penguins and then off you go again. They never let you go to 90 degrees south or 90 degrees north because you're not allowed. So what about the people of Longyearbyen of Norway, who permanently live and work on the coordinates of the 78th degree north. Thousands of people have been to the South Pole, but let me guess, they're all lying and they're all in on it. Every single one of them. Right, but what would you say to people who are still sceptical? Do your own research and don't believe what you're told, because when you do start looking deep inside it, you see that we're being lied to. Doing your own research does not involve watching Flat Earth YouTube videos and conducting bad experiments. It means finding out about real physical sciences and applying it to nature in a way that actually works. All in all, I think this has been an eye-opener for Dave. Fingers crossed he comes back to the real scientific community with his ice wall between his legs. I won't hold my breath though. He is, after all, the man that destroyed Einstein, Newton and Kepler in a single swoop of flat earth arrogance. Well, that about wraps it up for me today. What a disastrous interview. 10 minutes and it's been completely unravelled. Thank you all very much for watching. And if you like what you've seen, then a like and subscribe would be thoroughly appreciated. Next week, we're going to take a look at one of the more sillier quotes that a flat earther can regurgitate. I trust my senses. I have been Simon Dan. Thank you to everyone for all of your comments, including you flatties, and I will see you soon. Trusting your senses would seem to be a sensible thing to say, wouldn't it? Well, today I'm here to tell you that when it really comes down to it, explaining that the Earth is flat because you trust your senses is a farcical joke of a statement. Yes, it's me, Simon Dan, and I am back again on this good old Flat Earth Friday. Before we continue, I just want to say a quick thank you, as we have just tipped over the 400 subscriber mark, and I am just delighted. I'd really like to hit 500, and if we get there, I'll do the 10 worst Flat Earth memes video. And who doesn't love a good laugh at a bad meme? So let's really push for that. Okay, back to today's topic in question, our senses. When I trawl through YouTube videos from flat earthers, I often hear the phrase, I trust my senses and they tell me I'm on a flat plane. Actually, I hear it a lot.
Your senses, all of your senses tell you that you're on a flat, motionless plane.
Your senses, everything you observe, tell you that the surface is level.
My reality, my senses tell me that the Earth is flat and stationary.
What our own senses tell us is that the Earth is stationary.
So trust your five senses.
Trust your senses. They are a gift. Use them.
That's all well and good, I suppose, but our senses are not that great and are pretty bad at figuring out what's actually true. It's why science uses tools to make our senses better, so we can measure, record, and come to a general consensus. Imagine if I asked you to tell me the frequency of the wing flap of a common housefly using just your ears. Or if you could tell me the complete list of ingredients in a tin of soup from just one taste. It would be almost impossible. Our senses certainly would have failed us in these examples, and I could have come up with many, many more. The same thing is true when we discuss something like the shape of the Earth. In the example with the fly, the speed of its wing was the problem. We could never ever differentiate between flaps using just our ears. With the Earth, the problem we have is size. If flat earthers and globe earthers can agree on one thing, it's that the Earth is big, very big. So big in fact that I believe it's impossible to discern what shape it is or if it's moving from just our senses alone. With that in mind, let's look at some ways that our senses fail us on an epic scale. And we'll start with the McGurk effect. Your eyes are the most dominant senses. This is undeniable. And they often mess with or override other senses. The McGurk effect, for example, will make you hear a different sound based on what you are seeing. There's a link in the description that explains it. I can't use the whole video because it's BBC and it will be copyrighted. The man in the video is saying bar, bar, bar over and over. After a while, the audio stays the same, but he mouths the word far. Your silly little brain, on your eye's advice, then begins to hear the word far. At this point, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and check out the link in the description yourself, where it's shown perfectly. All done? The weirdest thing is, you know exactly what's going on, but you can't help but hear the word far. This isn't the only thing, though, that your eyes foul up on. Next up, we're going to look at motion-induced blindness. Look at this short clip. Keep your eyes firmly on the green spot in the middle. Focus on it intently, and you'll find that after a few seconds, one or maybe all of the yellow dots will disappear. You know that those yellow dots are there, but for some reason your eyes stop seeing them. It can happen anywhere, but a long drive is a common example. How many times have you heard someone at the wheel say, "It came out of nowhere," after you've been staring at the road for the last 30 minutes? Scientists believe that this motion-induced blindness is the result of your brain discarding useless information. There's a lot of stimuli in the world, and it makes sense that your brain filters out the worthless stuff. It's why when you're walking down the street, you'll barely notice the strangers that walk past you. The issue is, your brain doesn't always make the right call, and sometimes the consequences can be disastrous. If you think we've finished with our eyes, you'd be mistaken, as we move on to Ponzo illusions. Look at this photo. Which line do you perceive to be the longest? If you answered the one at the top, congratulations. You are completely normal, and also completely wrong. They are in fact the exact same size. This happens because your brain is just trying to deal with perspective. You can see the very same effect with the moon. During moonrise and moonset, the moon often looks bigger than when it's higher up in the sky. Now, obviously the moon doesn't change size over the course of an evening, but what's happening is an illusion on a cosmic scale. The moon only looks bigger close to the horizon because objects in front or near it, such as trees and buildings, create a perspective illusion. When it's higher up in the sky, our brains have nothing to compare it to. A bit of refractive light comes into play too, of course. I'm not going to delve any more into this. There's loads more examples as to how our senses can fool us, but I think I've made my point. To a human being, our senses are everything. But to stand there and say they are the exact thing we need to help us ascertain the shape of our planet, our giant planet, and that we should trust them implicitly, is just arrogance. Our eyes can't see 6 other types of light. Our ears can only hear a tiny range of the entire sound spectrum, and our sense of smell is one of the poorest in the animal kingdom. Yet we profess to sit on a throne of sensual enlightenment. Do not kid yourself. Don't get me wrong, our senses are pretty good at getting us through the day, but you want to use them to determine without any doubt whatsoever that the Earth is not a globe and we live on a flat plane? That is the equivalent of asking me to give you a detailed report on the constituents of Earth's atmosphere by sticking my tongue out. No doubt we will still hear flat earthers the world over saying that they are trusting their senses. If you see them do it online at all, post the link to this video. Thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, then please do like and subscribe. A reminder also about the channel's Patreon page. There's loads of rewards up for grabs for becoming a patron, so please do check it out. I'll leave the link again in the description. I have been your faithful Flat Earth Friday host, Simon Dan, and I'll see you all next week. Bye. Hello all and welcome to Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. Today I'm doing a response video, and it's one I've been wanting to make for a while due to the channel's host being highly unfavourable. The channel in question belongs to one Nathan Oakley, and it's an understatement to say he's triggered. He hosts a daily show called Flat Earth Debate, original, and despite his friendly-looking robotic introduction once begun, he is rude, arrogant, and quite honestly offensive. Here are a couple of examples.
So here's a question for you, Nathan. Do you want me to start with the Earth is a globe and I can figure out R?
No! What kind of a moron are you? Are you literally going to ask my permission to beg the question?
So if you want to
acknowledge what I've just said to you, you muppet.
I think.
Am I allowed to start with it being a sphere? Am I literally allowed to beg the question here? No, Charles.
Okay, so we're not allowed to start with it being a sphere.
No, you're not allowed to beg the question, you bloody idiot.
No. Well, all I'm saying is it's a two-step process, and it all depends.
How many times have you got to say it's a two-step process, and how many times have I got to say I don't give a crap? Oh, I've got you, have I, fuckwit? Yes, I have. You are presupposing the sphere because you are quite literally a moron. Yeah? Didn't take long to debunk that absolute pile of crap proof of R now, did it, Wiggles, you complete dumbass? Well done for making yourself look like more of a moron than you had already. Well done with your crap example and your absolute shite proof of R.
As you can see, a real unsavoury character. What's amusing is he talks to people like a piece of shit on his shoe for knowing we live on a globe, the whole time thinking he is intellectually superior to them. The whole thing is just a bunch of grown men talking like they know more than anyone else in all of recorded history. Now, one of his disciples is a guy called Sleepless Warrior who appeared at the Flat Earth Convention in April, and he's put his foot in it a bit whilst trying to debunk Al K in a recent episode, and Nathan has followed his lead like an equal lost puppy. To put it bluntly, he's had a shocker. Allow me to explain. Al K made a video that was showing the curvature of the Earth. It was well made and depicted him filming a small island called Elsa Craig from a variety of locations. Here are a few clips.
So, I've got a tripod here, set up, just about to put the P900 on it so that we can have a look at Elsa Craig.
I won't show too much more yet, as we'll allow Nathan and his team to step in. Away you go, guys.
Right, so this is his video, right? He makes 3 claims. 1, he's demonstrating curvature. And I'm like, really? This is going to be interesting. 2, confirming his previous results. I'm not sure what they are. And 3, debunking a false claim. And I think the false claim that he claims he's debunking is Dell. And I'm not sure what the issue is. But it's something to do with this mountain. And it's something to do with the interpretation of the evidence. But I'm not really too sure about what's gone on. But I could tell by the video that he's up in a place called Largs. And he's looking across the bay down to a particular mountain, and the mountain is called Nathan, you remember what it's called? Something Elsa or something like that it is. So I found where his little ramp is. He's at this Lagos RNLI, and he's looking out the thing. And if I pull up my Google Earth now, he's looking at
Craig.
this.
It says in the title.
Pardon?
It says in the title.
Yeah, there we go. Elsa Craig, right? And when you look up what Elsa Craig looks like, it's this random looking rock on its own. It's pretty tall. It's 1,100 feet tall. And if I can get to the Google thing quickly. Let's go to that. No, come on, give me what I want. There, it's there. So AILSA Craig. Now, what's interesting about this is if you type, right, there it is, Elsa Craig height, it rises to a height of 1,120 feet. And if you look at 1,120 feet, that's going to be the peak, okay? So you can deduce, common sense, that half of it is going to be half of 1,100, so it's going to be about 550, a little bit above. So we've got 550 in the middle, and then we've got 0, which would be the sea level.
So far so good. Nothing really that we can pick holes in. He is just confirming facts, which is fine. However, it will quickly unravel.
But we know that the peak of it is 1,100 feet. right? That's the first thing to observe. So what you can do is he's picking on this lighthouse down in the bottom corner. And his claim is that you can't see the lighthouse from this distance away, which is where he's at, which is Larg's lifeboat station. So when I zoom in, this is the jetty that he's on, and he's basically down like Ranty was, foot off the water kind of thing. So there's the lifeboat station, there's the ramp. He's sat basically, wherever the tide is, he's sat here. So he's about a foot off the water, maybe 2, but no more than 2, but that's where he's at. And when you look up, you can see that this thing is miles away. It's absolutely miles away. And on my screen now, you can see my little ruler that's already been put in. It's 39.14 miles.
As you can see, I agree with that figure. And we'll take 2 feet as the observer height. He's on one knee, so that feels about right. All seems perfectly legitimate so far, doesn't it?
So I thought 39 miles, and you're expecting to see a lighthouse that's got a focal height of about 80 feet. Thought that's going to be a dot. You're never going to see it. It's going to be so far away. It's so small. They would say it's behind the curve. I would say it's too small to be seen because perspective, the further summit goes away from you, the smaller it becomes. But nonetheless, this number intrigued me because 39 is greater than the 34 that I've seen the Isle of Man pictures from, and further than the Mackle Lighthouse. That was 31. But he's trying to see a lighthouse 39 miles away that's half the size of Mackle. So I'm thinking he's never going to see that. Not even on a perfect conditions day, he's never going to see it. It's too small. Not because of the curve, but it's gone too small. It is literally too small.
And now we have a problem. At no point in LK's video does he mention being able to view the lighthouse on Ailsa Craig from his first location, which is on the RNLI ramp in Largs Bay. Here he is on the ground in his video.
So, down at Largs at the lifeboat station. Come right down the ramp till about right next to the water. There's my knee. Just a safe few inches up from where the water's lapping up the ramp. So, Ailsa Craig is visible.
So, 39 miles, that's the distance he's looking at, and he's about a foot off the water. So then if I go to the curve calcs and I look at the curve calcs, because he's claiming that it's curved, right? Metaflunk. So I'll go with the Metabunk one because this is what he's doing. So the mileage was, what was it, 39? And then the viewer height in feet would be 2. So it should have a geometric curve hidden of 926. But the drop itself is greater than the height of the mountain. But even with refraction, you're only going to bring back like 350 feet. So when we go back to the original picture that I had on Google Earth, how much are we bringing back? Because the height of it is 1,000 and just over 1,000 feet, 1,100 feet. But according to the curve, it should be nearly 800 feet gone.
As you can see, I can confirm with this estimation, there should be 787 feet of the mountain hidden behind the curvature from this location.
So we're looking at the mountain that he's got in the video. Most of it should be gone. And when you look on Google Earth, this is how it's presented at sea level. So the question becomes, well, if that's 1,100 feet and the sea level is here, we appear to be seeing virtually all of it. But according to the geometric shape of the Earth, it should virtually be gone because the drop value is the size of the mountain and it should be hidden by 626 feet. So where's the claim on his video that it's actually curvature that he's seeing? Because in his video, he claims, I think I might have lost it, claims that he's seeing the curvature. So then the question becomes, well, why are you calling this a curvature proof when it's flat as a pancake?
Oh dear, this is slightly embarrassing. The image that LK got from his viewing down by the lifeboat ramp is not the image you're looking at in your video. Here, watch.
But finally, we've got it on a day. Oops. Finally got it on a day where there isn't a ton of refraction. So we can see the actual shape it should look from this distance.
So if I take a still of that image, you can clearly see that this is not the whole of Ailsa Craig. Now, the point of Alkay's video was that he showed 5 different pictures of Ailsa Craig from 5 different locations, some getting progressively closer to the island. So if we look at his initial photo again, then this was his second photo, this was his third, and this was his fourth. His fifth photo was his closest, and this is the image that whatever warrior guy was using in Nathan Oakley's video. Here is Alkay's last image. It was taken from here. This is a distance of 30 miles from Ailsa Craig, but crucially the observer height is different. The position of his last photo, as you can see, has an elevation of 295 feet. We'll add another 5 foot as he's probably holding the camera at just below head height, and that's 300 feet. If you plug all that info into the same curve calculator, you get a hidden value of 28.73 feet. So let's look at that last image again.
Why are you not? You're claiming that this is curve. Where is? Oh, I've lost it now. There it is. So he's demonstrating curvature, but I'm not seeing curve. I'm seeing a whole mountain that should have gone behind the curve. And if you're claiming to be demonstrating the curvature, surely your claim would be talking about the top part that's like the tippy tops that's peeking over the hill because that's the curve. But you're on about a lighthouse that you can't see, and there's a layer of mist across the horizon that you can't see through, and you're claiming that that's the curve of the Earth. No, that's not normal. That's not even honest. This is the actual video. This is what he claims. He thinks that this, if you look along the horizon, there's like a white layer of mist. And as I play the video, he's claiming that we can't see the flashing lighthouse because of the curve of the Earth. Well, if it was the curve of the Earth that was causing us not to see the lighthouse, we should only see this bit up here, the tippy tops of it, because it's 1,000 feet tall.
Well, funny you should say that, because if you take his first image, which is the one that has almost 800 feet hidden, remember, and lay that over the top of his last one, which shows pretty much the whole of Ailsa Craig, you get this. Now, 800 feet hidden is approximately 73% of the mountain. Would it be fair to say that there is only a quarter of Ailsa Craig being seen in the first image when you view it like this? I think it would be fair. This single photo completely destroys the flat Earth theory.
The question becomes, how are all these people in the chat, in his comments, going to react? Because we've got Jed Skeptic Media. Nice video, mate. Well done. I denounce him because he hasn't told you about the whole nature of the mountain that's missing. Tom Dick, whoever he is. Sue Lynch, seen you before. Are you going to denounce him? Woodsy, going to denounce? Are you going to denounce him? Blue Marble Guy, what about you? All these people have been deceived because he hasn't told them that it's so far away that the whole thing should be missing. Rock Lover, Poseidon, Philip. Look at Philip. Remember that really nice physicist guy? Wow, fantastic. What a great comparison. It shows how the other images show textbook inferior mirages. Yeah, what about that whole missing mountain though, Phil? Did you not fact check first and just make sure that he was telling things the way they should be? Or did you just accept it because, you know, what was the criticism that Ruhif gave us? He said that flat earthers are the excuse for the complete failure to critically think about things, and we have a physicist that just accepts it straight away. So them words that Ruhif said, that flat earthers can't critically think. Look at all these idiots that are all in this chat right now, all patting him on the back, saying how good it is.
That's because they've watched the whole video, matey, and understood the concept of it. What's most amusing in this clip is how you continue to bash him, yet you are so wrong. It's car crash stuff. So, Warrior Guy, and by extension Nathan Oakley, either you're too cocky and arrogant that you thought you didn't need to watch the entirety of Alkay's video in order to debunk him, or you're deliberately lying to everyone in order to discredit Alkay and further your agenda. So which is it? Because both are pretty bad. I think a full retraction and apology to Alkay is the least you should do. But I know we won't get it, because since you've bashed it, you've come out with other crackpot theories and reasons. You're clearly on damage control. This is what annoys me most about flat earthers. They claim they know what they're talking about. They make a video and they dress it with a load of word salad. And then other flat earthers heap praise on them. Not this time, guys. Well, that turned out pretty well, didn't it? Thanks all as usual for watching. I've been Simon Dan. If you like this particular dismantling, please like and subscribe to see more of the same. Next week we'll be taking a look at time, specifically a guy who knows nothing about it. See you all again then. Bye. Hello all and welcome along to another video with me, Simon Dan. Before we begin, it's time I say another huge thank you. We surpassed the 500 subscriber mark sometime on Saturday, so thank you to all of you, although it's now in the 700s. I'm starting to get used to some of the more regular commenters now, and I have to say the community is building nicely. We should do a special video next week to commemorate the big 500. Let's get back to today's video, and despite planning to do one on time, Nathan and his team have been caught lying again when deciding to address a small portion of the video I made regarding their debunking of Alk's globe Earth proof last week. Specifically, they have taken a disliking to this picture. Now, Mr. Warrior has been downgraded to the subs bench for this one, and another of Nathan's experts, some guy called Ranty, has taken up the mantle. He's even posted on his own channel, and apparently I've been wrecked. If you don't fancy watching today, but you'd like to know the general gist of it, I believe the following clip correctly explains what's going on. Imagine I am the Philadelphia 76ers centre Dikembe Mutombo in the black kit, and that this Ranty character is the NBA legend and LA Laker forward that is Kobe Bryant in the gold kit.
Mark is an excellent help defender. He knows the defensive guidelines, and he is going to go to the front of that rim, any kind of penalty.
Let's see what he's got.
Could I address this Alk nonsense?
Yeah, if you want.
And there was a video put out about a bunch of flat earthers get it astonishingly wrong, I think was the name of the video by this gentleman here. Where are we?
You're on.
Simon Dan, right?
You mean no Simon Dan? There's no Cy in his conversation. He just rejects the evidence and distorts it to suit his narrative.
Wow, they're straight in there with the discrediting, aren't they? Absolutely smashing takedown, Mr. Warrior.
Do you know, can I just say, Ranty, before you do, Nathan and I discussed whether we should even talk about this, and we came to the conclusion that we weren't going to mention it because we didn't really want to promote him.
That ship sailed, isn't it?
So
well,
yeah, we can mention it if you want, but
yeah, I'm happy to just congratulate Alk on providing the most astounding flat Earth proof that I've seen from any ball earther in recent times. Honestly, and I'm going to prove it right now.
This should be good.
I agree.
So obviously here we have his observation from 30.9 miles away. There is one that was a lot further, 39 miles away. I think he got down to about a foot in elevation. But as you know, everything, things converge at the horizon, and it was pretty smudged at that distance. So something that was a 30 mile, 31 mile is always a good viewing position to get some data from. So,
oh, what a surprise. The image that's furthest away is too smudged to use, so they're using another one. Okay, we can deal with that. Please continue.
Essentially from that distance, 552 feet of the mountain should be hidden, right? So if I show you, this is the high elevation, right? So he went up to an elevation of over 300 feet, much nearer, and he was able to see right down to the little piece of land at the bottom here where the lighthouse is on. So this is from his high elevation. This is what it looked like. Now I'm going to go through some points of interest on these two observations. So this is from the distance at 30.9 miles away, and this is the high observation, right?
Great. Happy with that so far? No issues at all.
So I'm going to be looking for points of interest, because obviously they don't look the same on first glance, right? So on the next thing, what we need to do is we need to find common ground to make sure that what we're looking at is the same part of the mountain and how much of the mountain we're actually seeing. So I've highlighted some positions here on the two images that are a very, very, very close match. Okay. On the next point, we have a little ledge that comes across to the right here. I wonder if I can zoom in on that.
No, you're all right. Keep it like that. It's good. We can see
All right, okay. Where are we? So, all right, 1, 2. So we have a little ledge that comes across here, and we have a little ledge that comes across here. So there's a match in the same locations too. The next point is obviously this very clear piece of rock on the side of the mountain that is evident here as well. And if you look at how they're all three are in relation to each other, height-wise and position left and right, they're all identical.
I cannot argue with a single thing you have said so far. Psst, this is a high point for them.
The next point of interest is the far right-hand side, where this drop comes right off and curls out right at the bottom. This drops off and curls off right at the bottom, just the same on the two images.
Now, hang on. You expect us to believe that this is the same as this? Let's look at them next to each other. It's starting to look a bit dodgy, isn't it? But we'll give them the benefit of the doubt and we'll let them continue.
Next point of interest, a little slightly more subjective, but what you've got to realise is that he is actually doing it from a different location. So although they match up, they're not as clear as the rest.
There's a small element of rotation because he's on a slightly different angle.
Exactly, yeah. So like this little rock here isn't evidenced on the side here, but that's just because he's from a slightly different angle, as you've just quite correctly pointed out. There's the ledge that comes out here, there's the ledge that comes out there, and there's the side of the rock.
Now these two are just clearly wrong. For starters, what about this little impression? I think you've deliberately chosen the second little impression to make your model fit. Your set of 2 red lines should be where the arrow is, not in the location where you've put them. This is backed up by the fact that the small ledge at the bottom of your red lines in the top photo is completely missing at the bottom of the red lines in the bottom photo.
And lastly, we have again this little piece of land at the bottom and a little piece of land at the bottom here.
You must think that the people watching are stupid. Surely. How does this even remotely resemble this?
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if you take that as a whole, right, forgetting the fact that because this was done at distance, obviously it's compressing it, so it's being squashed slightly.
That's the point there. It's compressing it, and the best illustration of the compression is seen in that bottom right-hand corner box. Look at the difference in the height, but it's the same profile.
Exactly.
Oh, it's best shown here. I see. Apart from the fact that none of the other boxes that you've laid out show anywhere near the same amount of compression. The peak, for example, by your own admission, that should be stretched at least, 3 or 4 times in a vertical direction? But it's not, is it? And before you say it's only on the horizon, then why hasn't the left-hand side been stretched that much?
This is the most clear evidence that it's the same image, complete image of the same thing, seen at different distances, right?
Apart from the fact it's not, based on the points I just made.
This group of flat earthers get it astonishingly wrong.
Yeah.
This is his impression of how much we're seeing from distance, right? This is Burke's impression.
That's me.
He slapped the bit on the top, right, and said that's what we've seen from the 39-mile observation, right? Well, that can't be true, because from the 30.9 elevation point, all this matches up perfectly.
Yeah.
What he's done is
you
he's
do us a
essentially
favour?
shrunk down the size of the top image, which is from a couple of feet, and sort of squashed it onto the top, like it's ice cream on top of an ice cream cone.
Nathan, if I had done that, you would see clear distortion in the photo. Just so we're clear, here is the first image direct from LK's video, and here is the overlay that I made. Next to each other, I think it would be fair to say that they are exactly the same, and no stretching or squashing has taken place.
Ranty?
Yes?
Could you do us a favour? Could you dig out his video and just show my comment on his video? Well, that's the exact point I made. And I just said what he's done. If he classes that as a match for an overlay that's supposed to be the same, he's blind as a bat. But I don't think I think he realizes that that's not that. I think he honestly realizes that that doesn't match, but he's pushed it anyway.
No, I don't honestly realise it's not a match. To be honest, I rushed the cutting out and the overlaying. And what do you know? It matched pretty good.
Well, what you've got to consider is that first Alkay did his lowest observational height at 1 foot, not 3 feet or 5 feet or 10 feet. He did it at 1 foot elevation from the furthest distance, 39 miles. Now, that is going to compress the height of the image. We know that from our own observations, what it does, it squashes it. And he has used this unclear 39-mile image, which it is pretty difficult to make out anything of interest on this particular image, which is why I used the 30.9-mile distance one, because it was much clearer. You know, this one was far clearer to work on and compare it with than the one that he used. But what he's done is he's taken that unclear image and he slapped it on the top of the of the high elevation profile and said this is a match, and it's nothing like a match at all.
Okay, I'll tell you what, let's forget about the first image completely. According to you, it's not even acceptable and it's too compressed, etc. So let's take the second image, the one that you've already used in an earlier part of your video. Let's use that one. Now, if you were in any doubt before with the old overlay, then I trust this has confirmed the worst for you, Ranty. Remember, I'm using the photo you've chosen as being acceptable. There is absolutely no doubt that this second photo taken by Alkay has a considerable amount hidden below the curve. Forget the calculators, forget the maths, that mountain is hidden.
Yeah. Ranty, just can you dig out his my comment on his thing and just read my comment? It's exactly what you've put, but then look at his response to it. His response to my comment is ridiculous.
Ridiculous? Oh no, what did I do?
Let's see. Let's have a look down here. Let's see if you're. How far down is it going to be?
Going. Miles Davis. I haven't seen him around for months.
It would have seemed he's still around.
I don't think that's real Miles. Might be anyway, but keep going, keep going.
I'm going.
It was about 3 days ago.
Right, okay. Well, all I'm seeing is here, there's a lot of people commenting, and they're patting him on the back. He's got a lot of likes, hardly any dislikes.
Yes, the video has been received quite well. Thank you.
Which you'd expect. You'd expect that.
Yeah.
But essentially, he's got it so wrong. Alkay's got it so wrong.
Au contraire, my little flat earth friend, I think you'll find that you guys have it wrong. Twice.
Simon Dan, so about that drop value and the hidden value, overlay
Mal.
matched about
How you
as close
doing?
as fitting curtains to a ball. My point is the mountain should be missing.
Stop. Hillel Finder's safe. You don't need to kick him, anybody. Go on.
Can't you geometry, dude? Your shite overlay proves your nonsense is wrong. Why don't you focus on the overlay a little better? Yeah, I mean, essentially, he put this video out pretty quick. He obviously did absolutely no research in it.
Yeah, but look at his response. Read his response.
Everyone can see it matches pretty much perfectly. Okay. I would disagree.
I would disagree.
What? A bunch of flat earthers who have been caught lying disagree that my picture which proves said lying is legitimate? Well, who would have thought?
Your point was that the first image was the whole mountain, which you can clearly see it isn't. Right. Well, like I said, you can't really tell what you're seeing on the 30.9 image. Let's be honest. It is quite difficult.
And my point in response to Alkay was that any of it is even seen, not necessarily some of it or all of it, although my position is you can see all of it. My point originally is that none of it should be seen at 39 miles away because of the drop value. That puts the base of the mountain that's bigger, the drop value is greater than the height of Elsa Craig. That puts the whole thing behind it.
Even though it's clear to see why even a naked mole rat, that each photo of Alkay's has a different degree of the mountain hidden.
If he was correct, I would be on the baller's side. I would be saying, Simon Dan, you're the man. You've got this so right. Riley and crew have got it wrong. They're idiots. But he's completely got it wrong, but he won't even accept it. But that compression point on the right-hand side, the two boxes you've got on the right-hand side, is proof that it's flat regardless of how much you're seeing.
No, it's proof that you're making stuff up. Again.
So let's have a look. 182 likes, 34 dislikes. Okay, and it's all horse manure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to dislike it.
Oh man, that's not cool. There you were being all civilised and everything, and then you go and do that. That's ranty off the Simon Dan Christmas card list, I'll tell you that for free.
There we go.
And Simon Dan, we deliberately didn't respond to this video because, to be honest, you're too stupid to understand the facts that you're looking at, the evidence that you're looking at.
I'm too stupid to understand the facts that I'm looking at. I'm too stupid.
The bit that you're not accepting is that the shadow being cast elsewhere means that the eclipse doesn't happen. But it does, because the minute it happens in between the sun...
So how is it on a planet with 7 billion people on it that when the fucking moon blocks out the sun, no sees it, Anthony?
No, because it can happen
one eclipse. Link me one eclipse, Anthony, that's happened in recent memory that no one has seen.
Well, I'm going to have to come back to you in 10 minutes when I find one.
Wow, that's embarrassing. You called me out as stupid and it transpires that you once believed that there's a solar eclipse that happens every month. YouTube is littered, and I mean littered, with example after example of you being stupid. You should really stop and think before saying something like that. You can't come back from that, something like that, buddy. Okay, looks like we've done enough here to discredit them again. Are they going to take a third bite of the cherry? And Nathan, the fact you're thinking about not critiquing someone because of the exposure it would give that person shows exactly where your priorities lie. Personally, I'm not bothered. Doesn't matter to me if you have 6,000 subscribers or 6. You and your team are lying to everyone. You need exposing. Thank you all again for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. I've been Simon Dan. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome. My name is Simon Dan and I am back with another Flat Earth Fail compilation. The last one was so well received I thought I'd give it another go. Before we begin, I just want to say another massive thank you. We are well on the way to 1,500 subscribers at the time of filming. If any of the new subscribers would like to become a patron, please check out the channel's Patreon page. There's a hat full of awards there, plus exclusive Patreon-only videos every month. I'll leave the link in the description. Right, back to today's video. The first YouTuber is a guy called The Globe Lie. So I'll set the scene. He's in his garage, he has a scale and some liquids. He thinks in a few moments he's going to disprove gravity. Run it.
So what we're going to do is we're going to pour 5 ounces of water into the glass jar. We got some oil also. So we can do grams or ounces. Let's just keep it easy. Let's just do ounces. We'll pour 5 ounces in there. We are at 5 ounces. 5 ounces of water. So now let's add the oil. And we're going to add more than 5 ounces of oil. Let's just kind of do it kind of slowly because we don't want to mix it too much. And we are at 10 ounces. Let's just keep going. 11 ounces. So the total volume now is 12 ounces in the jar. That means we got 5 ounces of water and 7 ounces of oil. So the oil actually weighs more than the water. But The oil's on top of the water's on the bottom. What does that prove?
It proves that water, 1 gram per centimetre cubed, is denser than oil at around 0.91 grams per centimetre cubed. I thought this was a gravity experiment.
It proves that gravity is just a theory, it's not real.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's escalated quite quickly, isn't it? An experiment to show the density of 2 liquids proves that gravity isn't real.
The water is more dense than the oil. The oil weighs more than the water, but the oil stays on top of the water. Why is that?
Because it's less dense. Thought we'd agreed on that one.
Gravity indicates that something more heavy would be on the bottom, but it's not on the bottom, it's on the top.
Ah, okay, I'll get it now. He doesn't have a single clue about what gravity is and how it works. Makes sense now. So, according to your video of gravity, a heavier object should always be below a lighter one. So what happens if I put a slightly heavier box on top of a lighter box? Would they switch places?
So what we have here is we have 7 ounces of oil on top of 5 ounces of water. How do you explain that?
I thought we'd already done this.
What happened to gravity?
Nothing. It's always been here.
According to gravity, the oil, which weighs more than the water, should be underneath the water.
No, I don't think you understand. We've spoken about this already. Asking a question more than once doesn't make it more acceptable.
But it isn't, because the water is more dense than the oil. How much oil would it take to displace the water? We've got 7 ounces on top right now. How much oil will that water support before it pushes down and puts the water on top of the oil? How much will it take?
Okay, I've heard enough now. Just because you conduct an experiment, it doesn't mean that it's a good one or that it's scientific. Now, if you'd set out to prove that a less dense liquid will sit above a denser one, your experiment would be sufficient, and I would be congratulating you. Next up, we have a plaintruth.info, who has decided that the globe Earth myth can be completely destroyed and disproven in under 3 minutes. Interesting.
Occam's razor states that the simplest explanation is probably the correct explanation. So let's see how that applies to a globe ball 24-hour time zone map. If anyone was to Google world time zones, they would find only flat maps describing the 24-hour time zones of the Earth. And if you scroll down, you see nothing but flat Earth maps. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, I'm sorry that Google doesn't give us 3D results when searching for images. The results most commonly seen here are that of the Mercator projection map. It's probably the best way to show the countries of a 3D spherical Earth in a 2D fashion. It is not evidence for a flat Earth.
Now, if we were to maybe say, well, maybe it's global world time zones, again, all we see are flat maps. Here's a time zone map of the world, all right? It's on a flat map. And if we scroll down a little further, they show a cute little clock that can only work on a flat Earth. So here is just proof evidence conclusively that we do not live on a round spinning ball hurtling through space at thousands of miles per second and all the rest of the rubbish that we've been told and sold over so many decades.
No, it is proof that your computer screen is flat. That's about it.
So here I just took an orange representing the round ball global Earth, and I divided it into 24 sections. 24 sections at the equator, which represents the 24 time zones on Earth, 1 hour at a time. So this is the exact same orange. I drew the lines of 24 sections around a round ball Earth and drew them up to the North Pole. And my simple question for everybody who believes we live in a heliocentric round ball Earth, can you please tell me what time is it at the North Pole as we spin around? Is it 12 o'clock? Is it 2 o'clock? Is it 11 a.m.? Is it 11 p.m.? Works the same on the other way if we do have a South Pole. I didn't draw the lines in, but you get the idea. Simply proven, very easy to do. We do not live on a round ball, folks. It is simply impossible given the time zones. Case closed.
I'm actually going to give credit to this guy for this question. It's a sensible question because the answer is not immediately obvious. However, just asking the question doesn't mean we automatically don't live on a globe, because we do. Here is what's actually going on up there. In practice, polar explorers and scientists can pretty much choose which time zone is most convenient to them. Those working at the McMurdo station in Antarctica, for example, have chosen New Zealand time. There. That wasn't too difficult, was it? This next one comes from a YouTuber called Jeremiah Sturk. He likes magnets and the flat Earth. Here we go.
Okay, now I'm going to give a demonstration here to prove to you that the Earth could not possibly be a spinning ball, a magnetic spinning ball at that, because when magnetic fields collide, they act as a braking system. So the Earth could not possibly be what they claim it to be, and that is a magnetic ball. And the sun could not possibly be magnetic lava.
I don't think I've ever heard the sun being described as consisting of magnetic lava.
As they claim. Because if that were so, here's what would happen to the Earth and all the planets within the solar system with that big of a sun. Here's what would happen right here. Watch. So, in that simple experiment proves that the Earth does not move and that the sun would pull by its gravity and its magnetic field would pull the Earth and all the other planets, if they were planets as we think they are, into the sun, completely destroying them.
No. You see, what you've done is, quite amusingly, confused two bar magnets with celestial mechanics. I don't think I've ever seen such an oversimplification before. It'd be similar to me showing you the complete inner workings of a computer by pressing the 1 button on a calculator. We finish with a video from a channel that is ironically called The Truth. The title of it is The Sun 93 million miles away.
Welcome to The Truth, Flat Earth. I want to show you guys a picture, and it's going to be a very interesting one. Check this out. So this is a picture from the sky, the sun on the land. There's no clouds, it's a sunny day, it's beautiful. You can see the full land with the river and the trees and everything. The sun, the light shining of the sun, you can see the hot spot on the land, and you see the sun in the sky, which looks more like a light bulb.
I don't know about you, but I wouldn't like to put a light bulb like that in my bedside table lamp.
And then you see the picture says 93 million miles and starts laughing, right? So the distance between the sun and the surface of the earth, that would supposed to be 93 million miles. Can you seriously think, I mean, if you just check this picture and you're like against the flat earth, I mean, this is not for convincing anyone, but just say you're against the flat earth, you think that flat earth is something like weird and nuts.
Weird and nuts are two words I would use to describe flat Earth. There are approximately another 50 words I would also use.
If you see this picture and they tell you that the sun, the distance between the Earth and the sun is 93 million miles.
Where does all this "they tell you" come from? The scientists of old didn't just pull a number out their arses and decide to tell everyone that was the distance and expect them to be believed. Experiments were done, it was proved, and has been many times since.
Does this distance that you see in the picture correspond to what would be supposed to be 93 million miles?
Yes. Yes, it does. Because we don't live in a 2D universe, do we? Just think for 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Is it not feasible that in this picture the sun is far away? Would that be completely unbelievable? It all depends on the angle that the photo's taken, doesn't it? I mean, you don't look at a sunset and say, oh wow guys, the sun is literally touching the earth over there. Complete gibberish.
And we're spinning. So the Earth is spinning, the Sun is spinning, the Milky Way is spinning, the whole galaxy is spinning, the solar system is spinning, everything is spinning.
And my head is spinning from your absolute nonsensical video. Good day. Well, there we have it. The second Flat Earth Fail compilation. Thank you all very much for watching. The 1000 subscriber Q&A will be taking place on Tuesday the 26th of June at 8 PM GMT for approximately 30 minutes live on Facebook. If you want to take part and you haven't done so already, please like the Simon Dan Facebook page. There'll be further details about it put on the page by the end of the weekend. I've been Simon Dan. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello all and welcome. My name is Simon Dan and I'm back for more Flat Earth Friday fun. Apologies to anyone who eagerly awaits for our live Q&A on Tuesday. I was not a well man at all. Please keep an eye out on the Facebook page for news on the rescheduling of that. Today, we take on a YouTuber called Who is Tesla. I was told in a comment on one of my other videos that I would never be able to debunk him as he has a 190 IQ, and then they posted the link to his video. Now, having watched his video, I can tell you now that if his IQ is 190, he is hiding it pretty well. Either that or they put the decimal place one too many places to the right. Let's see what all the fuss is about.
This is a 360 angle protractor.
So my first thought when I watched this was, what in the actual blue blazers is that mask about?
This is allegedly what we're living on, flying through infinite space.
No one has ever said we live on a beach ball. Sorry, couldn't help myself on that one.
Let's find the United States. Okay? So right now, this is high noon. You're going to see that this thing is on perfect zero. This is about a 23.4 degree tilt, give or take. As it starts to rotate, you will notice what this needle does. It will always move. It doesn't matter if it moves consistently. It doesn't matter if it does a complete 360 degrees like they say we're allegedly doing. It moves. I challenge any of you to buy one of these and set it down. Set it down in your house. Set it down in a fixed object. I want you to tell me if that thing ever moves.
Hey genius, you see that really big thing that's below your feet? You know, that massive spherical object? That's the Earth. It invokes a gravitational pull. That protractor you're using there is designed so you can measure angles. There is a little weight on the needle. Now, even if we're going to use density as the reason why things fall, we can still see that no matter where you put that protractor, it's always pointing down. That's because the Earth is beneath it. Placing it on a beach ball Earth and rotating it is one of the worst experiments I've ever seen. It proves nothing. That needle will always be pointing down.
If it even shakes, this ain't even a fixed object, this is the bed. And somehow, you're not going to notice movement.
Why would you notice movement? The angle of your bed in relation to how that protractor is placed is 0. That would be the same no matter where you place that protractor.
But when I pick it up, I can barely do like this, and you see it. So that's one way that you can tell that we are not in motion. Okay, there's 7 apparent motions that we're going through. How does it not register? How does it not register?
Because it's a flaming protractor!
It's a joke. Now this is going to go off of Dell's video. I really love what he's doing with water. I love how he's taking it and showing that there is no way to bend it. But it's even simpler than that. The question is this simple. You see all the water at the bottom. It's all piled up. Gravity, right? Well,
Yes, gravity. I'm almost embarrassed to hear what's coming next.
what about right there? What about all the water that's not being forced down by gravity? What is your explanation to me? You say, oh, well, it's just heat caught. It's just condensed. Why is the water still up there? Why is it clinging to the bottle?
Yeah, this is cohesion and adhesion. Water's sticky. The cohesion of water is due to the fact that the molecules can form strong hydrogen bonds with one another. These forces are responsible for surface tension. It's why you see little dome-shaped drops, and why an insect can sit on water without sinking. The adhesion of water is based on those water molecules sticking to non-water molecules based on their charges. In the case of the droplets inside the bottle, each drop involves both cohesive and adhesive forces which are strong enough to withstand gravitational force, hence why they stick.
Why is there still water? The rest rushes down. It's still all over the top of it. There's no ridges. There's no apparent reason why it should stick there.
Except for the reason I just gave. Oh, and you'll notice some droplets trickle down. That's because you get enough water clumped together to form sufficient mass that it can no longer cling on, and gravity wins out.
What about this one? What about every single bottle of liquid you've ever seen? No matter if you try and pull it all back down. Look, I'm trying. I'm literally trying right now to cause this water to become one with gravity and all go to the bottom. And you're going to notice that every single time there are giant water droplets that aren't affected by gravity.
Cohesion, adhesion, and surface tension.
So how can gravity pick and choose? How is it that some of it works and some of it doesn't? I challenge you to do the protractor test.
Don't need to.
They're $10. And this is obvious that it's obvious that you're not in motion. There is no motion. The little bit of slightest move. It's not magnetic, it's plastic. There's no reason why it would be pulled down, but if you set this thing on the ground at your house, it will never move once it settles out. Do it on something that's fixed. Don't do it on a movable object that you know can show signs of movement. Put it down on the floor at your house. Put it down outside your house on the ground. You'll never, ever, ever see that thing move.
Of course you won't. But that doesn't mean the Earth isn't in motion. Your house doesn't move either. And why would it? In the end, you'll just be a weird guy looking at a protractor on the road.
Appreciate y'all watching. I'm gonna be throwing out a lot more videos. Like I said, I've been in this thing for a while. I've just been staying kind of dormant, kind of quiet. I'm about to be the game changer in this movement.
Watch out, people. We've got a game changer in our midst.
I'm about to tell y'all some things that most people, it's so simple that it's difficult to wrap your head around it. This is what you live on. Ready? This is what's happening to you right now. If you believe that, you're crazy.
I completely agree with you here. We certainly are not on a beach ball spinning at that speed. Looks like he is a game changer after all.
You're absolutely crazy. There's no centrifuge for it. There's no reason why it should suck you in. Anytime you watch a dog shake, what do animals do when they're trying to dry themselves off? And then the water goes. So how does it make sense that it sticks to the ball?
With all due respect, a dog and the Earth are very different things. I just want to talk again about your mask a bit more actually. What's your thoughts about that?
It's just silly.
Well, yes indeed. I'm glad we wrapped that up. This guy really does annoy me, so I'll be keeping a close eye on his game-changing stuff. Well, that's all for today. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed that. As I mentioned, the Q&A will be rescheduled, so keep an eye out on the Facebook page for an announcement on that. I've been Simon Dan, and I shall see you all next time. Bye.